Hello everybody, video here for you today. This is the retro no-cap recap of The Curse of Oak Island, Season 6, Episode 10, called Fingers Made of Stone, originally aired in January of 2019. If you missed my recaps of previous and future episodes, there's a link to my Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Let's get into it. Previously, on The Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 229 years. Rick, Marty, and their team continue the excavation of Smith's Cove. During the previous day, they unearthed the U-shaped structure originally found by Dan Blankenship in 1971, as well as the new discovery of a very solid wall on the island side. 3 feet or so behind the wall on the island side, they found stacked rocks, which could possibly be part of the French drain system they uncovered 2 years prior. Terry says the area he is digging on the bay side of the boards was previously dug up, and the boards were driven down into the sea horizon and packed with clay on the island side of the boards. Alex, Doug, and Paul travel to Chester to visit the Lordley Estate, part of the Historical Society's museum network that has extensive Oak Island searcher records. Paul finds a 1936 letter written by Gilbert Hedden. It also includes this diagram of a skidway he found in Smith's Cove that has Roman numerals like the U-shaped structure the team just unearthed there. Charles finds a newspaper article with a description of the finger drains found in Smith's Cove, 500 feet east of the money pit in 1850 by the Truro Company, as possibly the earliest written account. It says 5 small drains were discovered on the shore due east of the money pit, below high water mark. These drains were each 66 feet long. The outer ends of the 2 outside drains were exactly 66 feet apart, and the whole 5 converged to a point 4 feet wide, thus forming between the outside ends of the 2 outer ones and the point from which they all radiated an equilateral triangle. These drains were all built upon beach stones, carefully laid down for the space of 1/4 of an acre or more, and were made by placing 2 flat stones on their edges, open at the bottom and closed at the top. The graphic used to show the finger drains always showed them as rectangular openings, but in this episode they start using one that depicts triangular openings instead. Doug says the measurements would fit inside the U-shaped structure, so it was likely created by searchers investigating or by original depositors building the drains. In the money pit area, Craig meets with a specialist that checks the boreholes for deviation. When a borehole is drilled, it often does not go straight down, it walks. And therefore, once at target depth, it could be as much as several feet away from the correct position. In later episodes, Steve and Terry are sometimes holding a grid map of the money pit area that shows the deviation as spiral lines so that it's known how far the drilling walked. The most recent borehole drilled as of this episode, for example, went 8.7 feet east and 4 feet north at the bottom, and approximately 5.3 feet east and 2.5 feet north at the 100-foot depth, where they are looking for a tunnel. While the specialist continues to survey the boreholes, Charles and Doug arrive at Smith's Cove to drain the recently excavated area west of the U-shaped structure that is filled with water overnight. Doug sees these 2 flat rocks with an open triangle in between and calls Rick to come take a look. Rick decides to wash the area with a hose to get rid of some of the mud. Laird and Terry arrive. Laird begins examining the stones. And on the opposite side, Charles finds what he thinks is coconut fiber. which the Truro company reported as being used along with eelgrass to cover the drains so they wouldn't get blocked by debris and sediment. Doug says the 1863 article said the drains were packed in coconut fiber. There was also coconut fiber found in the original money pit. The nearest coconut tree is 1,500 miles from Oak Island in Bermuda, and researchers speculate that it was originally brought to Oak Island as packing material to protect cargo on ships. When Rick asks if it's natural, Laird says it's strange and definitely not glacial rock. And Terry says the thing to do is to follow it in the direction of the money pit. The specialist notices a stone next to a tree in a ravine near the money pit area and alerts Rick. It appears to have been shaped and has straight line carvings. Rick says they must have walked right by it a lot and never noticed. They get a better look at it in the research center later when Rick turns the overhead lights off. The company that scanned what could have been the 90-foot stone 2 weeks prior returns to scan this stone. They will render the data and be back with the results. This is a rare shot of the cave-in pit. The crane pad built in Smith's Cove for the sheep piling dam build is at the upper right in the picture. As he is peeling off a layer between the drain opening and the pad, Rick unearths this wood. And then these boards. Craig shows us the wedge end on the board, likely for easier driving into the earth, like the previously found wall. Rick notices that the stones in the area are roughly all the same size. There's one more new Oak Island show to recap the Drilling Down episode airing May 7th called Zeroing In. We'll also continue these retro no-cap recaps of season 6 through 8 during the summer. All of the other episodes are done and can be seen in my Oak Island playlist. Upcoming streams answering your financial questions with Coach Steve Money Saturdays and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as the Ramsey Show After Show 6 p.m. right after the Ramsey Show video ends on Tuesday and Thursday, May 7th and 9th. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment.